All right, here we are again at Fuse 6 in Las Vegas, and I've got Kyle Draper with me, and if you don't know who he is, you better know who he is, because this guy's going to change your business and your life.
Wow.
And man, you crushed it today.
Thank you.
I had no idea your sense of humor was so awesome. I was laughing the whole time in the back and learning a bunch about how to do social media. So,
you know, social media is not the funniest, like the funnest topic.
That's right.
Most people are like, oh, another social media guy. Or they think they're great, and then I show up and they're like, oh no, this guy just told me I'm horrible. So I just found if I can make it lighthearted, it's a little bit easier of a pill to swallow.
It is.
And it just makes it more fun and more enjoyable. And I've always learned best through laughter.
Yep.
So if I can do that, and as a former youth pastor, I mean, I spent 10 years trying to be a comedian in front of a bunch of young people that thought I was a moron.
And you probably didn't even know this. My wife and I ran a youth group for 20 years.
Did you really?
So we have that in common.
Oh my gosh.
We have that common thread, which is pretty fun. Teenagers. We worked with teenagers.
I don't know how you did it for 20 years. That's unbelievable. I'm done. I will never go back. 10 did me in.
Yeah. Customers are nothing compared to teenagers. Teenagers lead you up, and if you can handle them, you can handle anything.
I've even been invited to speak to a couple high school football teams, and I've declined.
That's hilarious.
Because I'm so afraid of teenagers. So, like, put me in front of mortgage people and real estate people all day.
You just stood in front of 2,000 mortgage professionals, and they didn't bother you, but a couple of teenagers.
Dude, yeah, you put me in a room with 12, 14-year-olds, and I'm out.
All right, so let's talk about what you know better than I think anybody in the country.
Okay.
And it's so important to originators today is the whole social media mindset. And you know, we know the vital importance of it, but I will tell you, I see that 90% or more of people that I see don't do the right thing in social media and approach right. So talk just a little bit about some of the principles that you think are important in this marketplace to get people known, to I want to say create following, but I'm not going to say that because I think that's the mistake people make. It
is.
They
want to
be
what you mean.
They want to be an influencer instead of just really being effective.
Yeah.
Talk about effective social media.
So Dale, the problem starts because for most lenders, they didn't really even care about social media until they got into lending. And so then it was introduced to them as a sales tool.
Right.
So they don't see it for what it was designed to be, which is a place for us to have a relationship with people, love on people, you know, nurture people. Well, they're just showing up with all their sales jargon, shoving it down our throats, and then they wonder why it doesn't work. So the hard part is, like, most of the lenders that I know, it's not even their fault that they're bad at it because they have literal leaders that are like, hey, here's a graphic with how many loans you closed last month. And so, like, they think that's great.
Right.
And so if they can, like, I talked about it in the talk today. Like, if I can relate people back to, like, what do you do at coffee with a friend?
Yep.
You're a human being.
Yep.
Y'all talk about some business, but then you're going to talk about the vacation you just went on.
Yep.
And then you're going to come back to some business, but then you're going to be like, oh man, how's, you know, little Jimmy doing in his T-ball? Like, and so why can't we take conversations over coffee with a friend and turn that more into the way we hone social media?
Love it.
And if they would take that approach, they're going to win more often. But then if they would start to blend, all right? So I told this story in there. Like, I love doing business videos where I know my kids will be a distraction.
Okay.
Because it gives me a moment to break from being the expert to being a loving father.
That's awesome.
And then when I drop kick them out of my office, then people laugh and they're like, this dude is hilarious. And then I'm right back to being an expert. But most people, right, they're going to stop recording.
Right.
They're going to yell at their spouse. I told you, I'm trying to record a video.
I need you to be quiet.
And then they end up with this crap, boring video that nobody cared about. But if they would have left the dog bark in and been like, that dang dog, do you have a dog? And now they're going to get 30 comments about, oh, I love our dog. We have a Pomeranian. And
we're dog people.
We have a German. And you miss out on all that fun engagement because you want to be business all the time. And so, the more human we can be, it just gets easier.
Okay, so I gotta ask you to do this.
Okay.
I love the dog peeing on you story.
Yes.
Share that one.
Oh my gosh.
That was awesome.
So I went, this sounds like a made up story.
I know it's not though.
But I'm doing a webinar, and there's hundreds and hundreds of LOs on this webinar. I'm already nervous. This was my first time doing it with this group, and I tell a story about our dog, and the chat box fills up with, "We want to see Parker. Show us Parker." And I never let her in my office. So I mean, for years, I've kicked her out and I've slammed the door in her face. And so when I'm yelling at her to come, she's freaking out. Right. What is happening right now?
Right.
You have not done this ever.
You never allowed me to come in here, yeah.
So she tiptoes in. I pick her up. I hold her, right? And she pees everywhere. And Dale, you would have thought that she held her pee in for 3 days. I mean, because my entire left side was drenched, but there was a pool this big on the floor.
Oh my gosh.
And so I had 20 minutes left of the webinar. My office reeks of urine. And I have this moment, you know how you can have this inner dialogue in your head?
Right.
It feels like an hour,
right?
But it was a millisecond.
Right.
And I was like, do I tell people this happened? Do I not tell people this happened? And I'm just the raw and real guy. And so I'm like, thanks a lot, guys. Y'all just my dog. So I stand up. I show them I don't want them to think I'm lying. So they see the stain all the way down my shirt. And to this day, people will still run into me and go, dude, you know what my favorite Kyle Draper moment is? Is when your dog peed on you on that webinar.
That's right.
I've told that story to so many people. And it's really, Dale, it's when I realized, I just want to be memorable.
Right.
And if that's the story that I'm memorable for, I think I'm going to win.
Well, and I think to me, what I'm hearing is it's not just being memorable, it's being real.
100%.
It's being real. I mean, as I teach the word relationship, which we always change to relationship.
Yeah, I love that today.
It's being real.
Yes.
So that people actually see that side of you. I think
So
everybody,
good.
You're right. They're worried about, I got to look super professional.
Yeah.
I got to have all that. Look, there are times for that's important.
Yeah.
I've always been a proponent when you're doing work with your realtors, be professional in your background, do that. But don't worry if life just happens to happen.
Right.
Because then it makes you look like you're just a human
100%.
being. And people can connect with you.
Well, like a little thing that I watch people do, and there's a ton of opinions on this, but when I don't like when people always use a blur on their Zoom background.
Right.
And Jake and I were literally on a Zoom a couple months ago, and I was like, bro, what are you blurring? Because the way my brain works, it's a sick and twisted brain in here. My first thought is, what are you hiding?
Right.
What's back there that I'm not allowed to see, you son of a gun? And so what happened, he turns the blur off, and we get to have a 3-minute conversation about his dog. And then obviously I'm talking about my dog. And that's a connecting point as human beings.
Yep.
And so I try to encourage people, turn your freaking blur off.
Yep.
Because there's stories to be told from your background.
Yep.
And it does require a little bit of work. I know Jake's not going to let his dog be in the background of all of his videos. But in that moment, it worked for us.
Right.
To
connect.
And I think we need to look for more of those connecting moments, because that's what makes what we're doing memorable.
The thing I've loved the most about today as I've been here, Todd Duncan came up before you.
Killed it.
Then you killed it. You came up, killed it. And the theme was the same.
And then you came up and killed it.
Well, that's nice of you to say. The theme was the same. Treat humans like humans.
Yes.
Quit being transactional.
Yeah.
Quit being that tech person who you think you're doing them a favor.
Yeah.
By texting them and by sending them links and by doing all these things that make it easy, but you're not even treating them like a human being.
Yeah.
So from the time you start your social media all the way through the time you connect with your partners and your customers, create a humanistic approach about that.
I'm already changing something in my business as of today because of what you said.
What was that?
Well, you said that the link is ruining
relationships.
It is. And in content compounding, Once you and I talk and you're like, I'm in, then I say, great, I'll send you a welcome email with a link for your first payment.
Yep.
And then that can lead to like 2 weeks of somebody not getting started.
That's exactly right.
When if I would have said, my team's going to call you, they're going to get your information, we're going to get the ball rolling.
Bingo.
It feels so much better.
It does.
They can trust that better.
Yep.
And then we're not, from a business perspective, chasing people that said they're ready, but then life gets busy and we're just a link in an email.
That's exactly right.
So it's a big deal.
Good. Glad to hear that. So what would be, if you were to give one key bit of advice to any originator today or any lender today about how to handle their social media outside of what you've already said, what would that bit of advice be?
To actually listen. So there's a whole chapter in my book. I think it's chapter 6.
Okay.
Called Actually Listen. And I feel like you and Todd kind of both touched around this subject.
Yep.
But what I've found is the longer you've been the expert of something, you know how to fix the situation that's in front of you.
Yep.
And so if we're not careful, we stop listening.
Right.
Because you've already said enough for me to go, oh, okay, I get it. I know what you're going through.
Yep.
And so in my head, I'm going, are you done? Are you
exactly
done?
Right.
Are you done? Are you done? Are you done?
Yep.
Oh, you're done now? Okay, great. Let me fix it. And so I said it in the session, right? Like, how many questions do you get asked every transaction?
Yep.
And yet you're going to wake up tomorrow and not know what to talk about on social media. And so if we were actually listening to people, and so I would encourage people, like, take a notepad to every meeting you ever have and just feverishly write everything they say.
Love it.
Because that's months worth of content.
It is.
From those pages of notes.
That's great.
And then you're going to make them feel better when I say, hey, Dell, if this looks weird, I know you're going to say great stuff. And so I want to make sure and remember the things that you say. So that's what my notebook's for. Like, how good does that make the other person feel?
Yeah.
And so if we would just actually listen and then apply it, it would make social media so much easier.
Yep, it would. By the way, I love it that we have the same life verse. That was fun that we found that out. Everybody that we've ever trained, we train on others' first mindset with Philippians 2, 3, and 4. Yep. And you had the same verse, 2, 3.
2, 3.
And your dad was 2, 3, 4, 5, which was really
that's right.
fun.
He's super holy and very spiritual, so we can't hang with him.
Compete. I love it. All right, talk about your book. Talk about your business, because everybody listening to this should be buying your book. Everybody should be checking you out.
Thank you.
To see what they can learn from you. So tell me about that.
So I wrote Rethink Everything You Know About Social Media in April.
Great title.
I literally, we were on vacation in Mexico, and 2 a.m, God woke me up and he said, go write your book. And so I sat on the patio of our hotel room, wrote the first 4 chapters of the book, and it's 99 pages because so many books are full of fluff and stories that I think are ego-based on the author's behalf. And so I was like, I want to write a book that every single page, much like scripture, and I hope people hear this right, I'm not trying to compare my book to the Bible, okay? But the way that we know the Bible is living and active,
right?
Like, my book is living and active. Like,
awesome.
You could go to any page and find a nugget that could encourage you, motivate you, inspire you. And so it's super easy to read. It's full of pictures. It's basically an adult coloring book, if I'm being honest. So, but then I
love you, man.
We just have to keep it real.
Oh, you do. You do.
If you want to color in a book and maybe learn something.
Color my book and learn something. There you go.
Rethink everything you know about social media. But I also have a company called Content Compounding.
Okay.
Where we take long form video content. So typically long form would be over 4 minutes.
Okay.
So I coach our people to do like 4 to 10 minute videos.
Okay.
That are educational in nature. Okay. Right. Taking the questions that you get all the time, sitting in front of your phone and delivering it into the camera.
Right.
And then we edit those for YouTube and we upload it to YouTube on their behalf, so that 4 times a month they're growing their YouTube channel.
Awesome.
And then from those 4 videos, we rip out their best parts and create TikToks, Reels, YouTube Shorts. And so every month for 4 videos, they're getting about 24 to 26 pieces of content back.
Wow. And so, I don't know if people even realize how essential that is to their business today.
It's huge.
And there's no way they could do it on their own. And there's no way they could do it at the quality or level you guys can do it. So That's a great,
and we're under $1,000.
Wow.
So I just like there's actually a guy here. He's one of my clients, and you met him yesterday, Major Singleton. He was paying like $3,500 a month to DJ Khaled's video editor, editing all his stuff. And so for 6 months, I was like, "Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?" And he just was like, "Man, I'm working with DJ Khaled's editor." And even though he was the low man on the totem pole, he was working with and so he was so scared because he's like, that's so much cheaper. How good could it be?
Right.
And his brand has never been better.
Awesome.
And it has nothing to do with me. My people are unbelievable.
It's awesome.
But can I talk about something new we're doing?
Yeah, please.
So I haven't really talked about this publicly yet. So breaking news.
There we go.
But in content compounding, we have 10 full-time VAs from the Philippines.
Okay.
Some of them have been with us for 3 years, some newer.
Okay.
And so my COO and I, we looked up a few months back and we're like, we're really good at serving these men and women, making them feel connected and as big of a part of our team as anybody else is. Why are we not helping other companies hire VAs? Because when the economy struggles, VA companies do really well because everybody still needs help, but they just don't have as many resources.
Right.
And so we just launched, it's called Hire Culture VA.
Okay.
And it's a play on words, so that it's spelled HIRE. We should hire for culture.
Right.
But then it's also, we should always demand a higher culture.
Yep.
And so we're placing VAs with American companies.
Very cool.
And it is the most fulfilling work
it's awesome.
I've ever done. Like when you read like being the hands and feet of Jesus.
Yep.
Like changing and impacting lives on the other side of the globe.
It's awesome.
It's so much fun. So we're really excited about that.
Well, we are just connected in so many ways. We've been working with people in India for 20 years.
Yeah.
Y'all
might have been the first to do it if it was 20 years ago.
20 years ago, we started.
Wow.
2007, we actually started Mortgage Professionals Providing Hope, which was built off of the trips we took to India to work with destitute people over there, and then Africa. And so it's fun. So you and I are very like-minded in a lot of ways.
So have y'all done that in the Philippines yet?
We haven't done it in the Philippines. We've done it in India, U.S., Africa.
Okay.
But we would gladly jump in, and we live for giving.
I would love
That's what our company's built on.
Together.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I just brought on a new client.
Maybe we could even do a trip down together and go down there and see it. We've done some work in Guatemala.
Yeah.
And we fund a school down there. So
really?
Yeah. So.
One of our newest content compounding clients, she's from the Philippines. And so she's a lender in Hawaii and Texas.
Fun.
And so she speaks one of the native languages. So she already was like, when you go, I'll go with you. I'll interpret. I'll take you to the right. Because I want to put on events down there like what you and I do.
Sign me up.
And then use that to fill a pool full of people that want to work with American-based companies. And like, how much fun would it be to put 1,000 people in the Philippines in a room?
Yeah.
And just love on them for the day and encourage them. And so.
Yeah. And for anybody who has not been to a place like the Philippines or Guatemala or India or Africa, trust me, they don't have opportunities like we have here in America. So you're really changing lives, not just the life of the person you're working with, but that entire family and that entire community. It's a very different thing. We've been on a lot of missions trips over the years.
Yeah, you'll have people 50 years from now that say you didn't know them, but there was this family, the Vermillions.
Yep.
And like they've made an they've changed the directory of our family because of what it's just so
awesome.
It's so much fun.
It's awesome. Well, my friend, you are the real deal. I love hanging out with you. I'm looking forward to dinner tonight. It's going to be fun.
We're going to eat some steak.
We are going to eat some steak. And great job today.
Thank you.
Guys, buy his book, buy his stuff, do everything you need. You got to have him in your business.
Do what he just said.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And thanks for hanging out with me.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Love you, man.
Thank you. I love you back.